Hello and welcome to another Win Daily Show NBA edition. We are getting ready. We are getting right. We are getting excited. We have Milly Makers to win. We have Milly Makers to take down on FanDuel, on DraftKings. We'll be talking a little bit more about the FanDuel one today. I guess I'm the host, and I'm graced again by the presence of our founder, Jason Mezrahi. Jason, how you doing today, man?
Chilling, man. Waiting for this NBA to get back, man. I ate a nice meal. I don't know if these guys are eating nice meals down in Florida right now. Did you see these dinners or menus that these guys have been having the last couple of days?
Yeah, man, Disney World and the NBA are not at the top of the list, unfortunately, for gourmet food right now. I don't think it's as bad as the internet is making it out to seem. Honestly, it doesn't look that terrible, but if I had to eat it the entire time, it might get a little boring, might get a little tired.
They're gonna hand out some of those turkey legs, keep people happy with those, man.
Love it, right? Maybe, I guess, where are they going? What's that ride? Around the world? Small Little World, something like that. Yeah, that's where they're going. They're going to have some fun there. But we are here tonight to talk more NBA, not just about the food, because you guys can look that up and read about it on BuzzFeed. We're here to talk about the DFS side. We're here to talk about the betting side, and we're very excited for Jason to turn the sound off on his cell phone. So let's get into it. A little extra news that we do have. So Bradley Beal. So last week, everybody paying attention, we talked about how the Wizards had the possibility to make it. Are we going to put some money on them at plus 1,700 or whatever to make the playoffs? And lo and behold, Bradley Beal drops out. So I guess you were right, Jason. There was should have taken the minus 10,000 on them not making the playoffs there.
Yeah, it pretty much was automatic, man. I think you're going to see a lot more of this too. You know, there's not much motivation for certain teams to leave their family. It's kind of like going on a business trip that you don't want to go on. If you can find a way out, I wouldn't be shocked if more Nets, more Magic, more Phoenix Suns, Wizards, even Grizzlies, who are technically in but don't really have a shot, the Kings, the Spurs. There's a lot of these teams going down there with no chance of winning. Even the Utah Jazz, no chance of winning. Their team is too weak. So I wouldn't be shocked to see more people fall out. Some people have great reasons, like Oladipo is rehabbing. Doesn't really make sense for him to make a run to push it. Other people have family obligations. They're having children or whatever the case may be. So I'm guessing there's going to be a lot more of this. And there's going to be not so much motivation to go down there and win. If you're a 9th seed trying to get in or an 8th seed trying to make a run, and you really have no shot, and you have no shot beating the Clippers and the Lakers, like if the Grizzlies get in, yeah, they're going to try. Don't get me wrong. They're competitive. But certain people won't be too competitive. They're going to take it easy. They're not going to work out as hard. And they're going to just go down there, do what they have to do, and they'll mail it in for the most part. So betting-wise, DFS-wise, I'm definitely going to play the psychological card as much as possible throughout the entire, first 8 games. Once we get into the playoffs, I think teams are going to step up, but still, certain teams are just – they don't have enough, man. The Magic don't have enough where they're not going to make a run at the Bucks.
Yeah, and I think we've even kind of come to the assumption that the Nets are probably going to take that 8th seed at this point. So the Nets, just a little extra update. Since we last spoke, Taurean Prince has sat out. He, I think, tested positive and decided, hey, I'm not even going to bother, which can't really blame him. Spencer Dinwiddie, same thing. He actually tested positive again. So I think it was kind of he's just been sick this entire time kind of thing, which is unfortunate. So he has officially sat out. So just, I'm just going to run a couple guys by you that will actually be on the Nets roster. Justin Anderson, former Virginia great, Joe Harris, he's actually pretty solid. Karis LeVert, really the only name on here that makes sense. Tyler Johnson, who the Nets tried to sign 4 or 5 years ago for an ungodly amount of money. Garrett Temple, I don't know, man. I don't think these Nets, I don't think they're going to have it. They're going to play a lot of minutes, so maybe we have to check it out on the DFS side, but I don't think they're going to do too much of the playoffs.
From a DFS side, Karis LeVert, when these guys are off the court and you're talking about basically Dinwiddie off, Kyrie off, KD was never on it. Yeah. But, for the most part, with all these guys off, he's going to have a usage rate that's higher than Giannis, higher than LeBron, higher than Harden, higher than Westbrook. So what a usage rate means is when he's on the court, he's involved in the game, and he's either going to be shooting the ball or assisting to somebody. Mm-hmm. So LeVert is going to be probably one of the highest owned players in these first 8 games, and even when the playoffs start, because he's guaranteed points. So you might want to fade him for ownership, but for raw points, depending on where DraftKings prices him, because they haven't announced pricing yet on DraftKings. They will bump up his price. Don't be shocked to see Karis LeVert only $500 or $1,000 cheaper than, not maybe a Giannis, but $1,000 cheaper than, a Devin Booker or a Paul George type. He might be more expensive than Paul George because he's going to be the only superstar there. Because if they make him too cheap, he's going to be like 70% owned, 65% owned, especially on FanDuel where there's less flexibility and you got to lock a shooting guard, a small forward, a power forward, and stuff like that. LeVert's going to be so highly owned where if you're trying to take down, the Milly Maker or a big GPP, you might want to fade him, but don't fade him in cash because he's going to be so highly owned and he will hit value. But we don't know the price yet. So if DraftKings is smart, they'll price him up big time to make it a level playing field. So if people roster him, he really has to go out there and do his thing, not just go out there and get automatic points because he's too cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Is there anybody else you would say on the Nets? Maybe Joe Harris, maybe Jarrett Allen that you would consider? Again, same thing. Maybe not as highly owned or maybe not as highly priced, but still someone that could go out and absolutely hit value because that usage rate is going to be so high.
I think Garrett Temple will be the sneaky one. Pricing really dictates a lot of this. Jarrett Allen, he's pretty much a lock as well. That's the second person that people are going to go to outside of LeVert. Temple will be the sneaky guy that can shoot. He can get hot. He can hit a couple threes. Don't be shocked if he puts up 18, 20 points. Joe Harris, I like his game too. So Joe Harris, Garrett Temple will be the two guys. And I really got to see what lineup they roll out there. If they roll up Tyler Johnson as a starting point guard, he's just going to get – these guys are going to get so many minutes that their entire starting lineup will be stackable depending on, the pricing. It really comes down to pricing because if they're cheap – you can play them all. You can play 4 or 5 guys from this lineup and feel totally safe with it. And don't feel bad about game stacking. It's where the value's at because, during the regular season, there'd be times where 3, 4, 5 players were out with one team, and now they're rolling around with a depth chart of 7, 8 people, and one of those guys most likely won't even play much. So now they're going to just roll with 7 people the entire game, and basketball comes down to minutes, man. If you're getting the minutes, it's not like baseball where Mike Trout can be facing the worst lefty in the league, and he's playing in a hitter's ballpark, and he can line out 400 feet and get out 4 times and hit the ball perfectly every time. Just happen to hit it somebody or somebody made a nice play. But in basketball, if you have time on the court and you're going to get usage, which a lot of these Nets will get, they're automatically going to get rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, and obviously some points. So it really comes down to minutes more than anything else in basketball and usage. And, these Nets play at a high pace too. So that pace, it's not like they're a slow team like the Utah Jazz who like to lock you down defensively, pass the ball around. No, the Nets keep moving and running. They're a young team. So these games typically end with the Nets scoring anywhere from 105 to 120 points, depending on who they're going against. So they play at an up pace. They're going to be riding a short bench, and a lot of the usage is going to go to LeVert, go to guys like Garrett Temple. And then guys like Jarrett Allen, he never really got a full complement of minutes this year because he shared a lot of the center position with DeAndre Jordan. So now he's going to be a starter. He's going to go out there and get like 4 or 5 blocks a game, sometimes grab you 10, 12, 15 boards. And offensively, he can put up some points and he can dunk on people. So he's a double-double machine that's going to get a full complement of minutes. So Jarrett Allen, you can lock him in as well, man.
I love it, man. I love it. So hear that, Nets fans. You have something to do. You can make some money. Just listen to Win Daily. We'll be helping you out. You can win some money. Hopefully take down that million. Just tag us on Twitter if you got any help from us. That's all we appreciate at Win Daily Sports. Also check us out at windailysports.com. Everything is currently free on the website. We're going to start getting a lot more basketball content up there in the coming days in terms of sports betting, in terms of the DFS side, especially when some of this pricing becomes unraveled or revealed, I guess. We do have some pricing, so we are going to do a little bit of that tonight, but very excited. And also don't forget, we have our free Discord chat for 3 days. You can hop in there. We have everything in there for free, everything from LOL to the NBA, LOL being League of Legends for anyone out there that didn't know. And don't worry, I was one of those people a couple months ago as well. So just a couple more things before we actually do start to look at this first slate a little bit. So when it comes to the Milly Maker, right? Like we're trying to win $1 million. First place wins $1 million. It's very difficult. There's hundreds of thousands of lineups that are in there. People are putting a lot of money in there, and that's how we're able to get that $1 million. How do you look at it? So first for this first one, so we have a showdown, not a showdown slate, but a 2-game slate for $1 million on FanDuel, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. When it's such a small slate, how do you look at it from a strategic standpoint, understanding and probably not going to be able to put in 150 lineups? How are you trying to be contrarian, and what are some of the things that you're looking at to really build your lineups around before we really kind of go in and fine tune everything?
So like this one with FanDuel, it's $4 to enter. I'm not going to go at it with one lineup. So my first couple lineups, I'm going to try to build it optimal. I'm more of an optimal GPP player, so I'm going to enter some bigger tournaments as well. But for this one specifically, I'll build a couple optimal where it's balanced, where I'm not overly stacking one team or one game, and I'm getting that guaranteed value, and I'm getting my core plays in. So I'll build, 3, 4, 5, 6 lineups around a core 4, 5, 6 players, and I'll mix and match. Okay, if the Lakers decide to blow them out, maybe I'll play a little bit more of X player versus this player, and then I'll build around that core where I'm saying, okay, the Lakers are going to blow them out. Maybe play some bench players from the Lakers, or the Clippers are going to blow them out. Either way, the bench is going to be involved. Or I'm going to play out the game scenario that, hey, it's going to be a tight game throughout. Their starters are going to play more minutes, so let me get that value and let me get the key guys into the game. So it really comes down to game theory. You really have to say, okay, there's 2 games on this slate. Let me play out how I think this is going to play out. Do I think the Pelicans are going to go out there and crush Utah, or do I think Utah is going to go in there and play a tight game versus the Pelicans? And get those game theories out and play out, okay, what would I need in order for this to work out? Typically in a cash game or a normal size tournament, I look to get like 6x from my players. And
okay,
6x.
So I'm gonna stop. Yeah, I'm gonna stop you there. Yeah. So first, define GPP versus cash game for everybody, just in case they don't know.
Yeah, so for GPP, it's something like a Milly Maker, or on the following slate on the 31st, there's going to be 7, 8 games, and it's a tournament where you're really shooting for the top, because these tournaments pay out top heavy. And the top 2%, you're going to make some money. Top 5%, you'll make a little bit of money. And then once you get past 10% or 15%, you're losing. A cash game would be a head-to-head, me versus you. We both throw in $10. The winner takes 20. Or a 50-50 where there's 20 people in the top 10 double up their money, or something of that nature. So those are like your typical cash games, either a 50-50, double up, or, some 3-mans or 5-mans can be considered cash games. But in these big tournaments like this Milly Maker, there's 892,000 entries that you got to beat to finish in first to win $1 million. And on a 2-game slate, it's super tough to build a lineup that nobody has when there's 892,000 entries going in, and you got a lot of people pumping in 150 lineups to try to take it down. It becomes really tough to make a lineup that's authentic and different, and then to have that lineup be different enough to have nobody else rock that lineup and then have it become the first place lineup is going to be tough. So I would think, in a 2-game slate, shortened kind of, lineups to work with, I'm assuming there will be a tie on FanDuel on Thursday night. I wouldn't be shocked if it's not a tie, but I think it's going to be a tie, especially with FanDuel not having a utility spot to try to get a little bit different. You're locking in 2 point guards, 2 shooting guards, 2 small forwards, 2 power forwards, and a center, where on DraftKings, there's a little bit more flexibility, where multiple position eligibility, and then a utility spot. So there's more combinations that you can rock on DraftKings and FanDuel. And DraftKings is doing a Millionaire Maker on Friday, and I even believe on Saturday as well. They got 2 of them going. And those are going to be wider games where there'll be more games to be played. So I don't know how they're going to break it down. They haven't announced all the details yet. They haven't announced the pricing, but you probably won't see a tie. So on the DraftKings slate, I'm going to build what I consider an optimal lineup that can go against any tournament across the board. So if I enter it in a $300 tournament, or I enter it in a cash game, I like to build optimal lines. I will do some game stacking in those optimal lines to get a little bit of more exposure to certain games I think could be a higher scoring game. And, in this tournament with FanDuel, you got to get sneaky with at least a couple positions and hope somebody goes off, hope somebody maybe gets hurt, hope, the projections that, okay, that X guy is going to come off the bench first and it's not that guy and it's somebody else and you can be really different. That's where you really, are going to make a run up this tournament leaderboard because, it's only 2 games. And, for the Lakers Clippers, you'd have to assume they're going to be playing this game, very competitively.
Yes.
So it might not be a blowout and they're not going to really roll out a deep bench, but you got to get different. So there's certain players that I've already started to eye that I'm going to say, you know what, I can get different with a Reggie Jackson, or I can get different with a potentially a Caruso or a Rondo or Dion Waiters. And another way to be different, Mike, especially on a 2-game slate, is just to leave extra cash on the table. With basketball, I won't leave as much as I would in football or potentially baseball, but basketball you can still leave some money on the table and don't max out your lineup on a 2-game slate to be a little bit different. But basketball to the least point, I wouldn't leave too much on the table. I feel more comfortable leaving more in baseball or football than on basketball.
Okay. All right. And we appreciate that information. And just for reference again, when Jason says game stack, meaning he's going to grab a couple of the same guys from the same team. That way, if one team is really going off, you're getting a lot of the percentage from that team's points. Let's say the Pelicans go out and do score 120 points. You're going to get a lot of that 120 points, meaning you're probably going to hit value or exceed it, meaning you're probably going to win some money, and that's the goal here. So with that, let's talk a little bit about that game theory a little bit. So we do have the first 2 games. We have the Pelicans Jazz first, and then we have the Lakers Clippers later. You talked about the Lakers Clippers kind of hypothetically a little bit, but let's talk about that first one, the Jazz and Pelicans a little bit. So with that, how do you see that game playing out? Do you think the young guys over in the Clippers are really going to take hold and do their thing, and we're going to see Zion look like Bane on the court and his muscles are going to be popping out of his eyeballs? Or do you see the Jazz, as you were saying before, kind of slow the game down a little bit and really kind of let things happen and see where it goes from there?
So as soon as Zion came back, man, they were playing at a fast pace to begin with. And when Zion came through, they started scoring more points than pretty much everybody in the league. So the Pelicans score at a high pace. They run, they gun. They don't play that good of defense. So this game should have a high over-under. But on the opposite side, the Jazz are the complete opposite. They play good defense. They slow you down. So there's going to be a neutral pace for the Pelicans, or potentially even a pace down spot for the Pelicans, but they still like to run and gun. So there's only four teams to pick from, so you can't avoid the Pelicans. But from a fundamental pace standpoint, the Jazz are playing at a higher pace than they normally would in a neutral matchup to them. So these Jazz are interesting. I just don't like the way they're coming into this matchup. But we're going to have to find certain players on the Jazz. So like one guy that's going to be, pretty highly owned on the Jazz is probably Mike Conley. He's going to get a ton of minutes here. He's 5,700 on FanDuel. So, Conley is going to be one of your best options at point guard just due to value, but he's going to be highly owned for that reason as well. So if we can figure out, which I've yet to decide who's really going to be backing up Conley here, that's something that we're going to have to figure out. Is it Jordan Clarkson, who I really like, who has a high usage rate off the bench, or is Donovan Mitchell just going to be playing the backup point guard, and just getting extra minutes here? That's the thing we got to figure out, is what is the mindset of these coaches? Do they want these players to get full run and max them out on minutes to try to make, a push to a higher seeding? And we know the Pelicans have to win, so we can assume that with them. But I'm not sure what the Jazz do here. Standings-wise, yeah, they can move up a little bit here and there, or they can drop down, which they don't want to do. But how much do they push these guys in their first game out? We spoke to David Meltzer about it. What's your take, Michael, as far as pushing these guys, the starters, extended minutes in the first game back?
I don't think they're going to go too far extended with these minutes. I do think that they're probably in good shape. It seems like all these NBA players, outside of that first month where they all kind of just sat inside their house, we saw Trae Young shooting socks into his hamper, right? I know obviously he's not in the tournament, but I feel like that was kind of the mindset. After that, I do believe a lot of these guys started to get out. A lot of these guys did start to get a lot of conditioning in, playing basketball, and now we're starting to see pictures. Lonzo Ball, he got big, dude. Like, he got big. Zion slimmed down. I mean, he was hurt for most of the season, so he couldn't really do any conditioning anyway. Came out with a little bit of that baby fat, still was absolutely dominant. Now he's absolutely shredded. And when he wears that mask, looks like Bane. It gets me even more juiced up and fired up to go. So it's going to be really interesting. But I think we are, and us in the media, let's call it, are putting too much concern on conditioning when I think that these guys have actually been conditioning more than anything else. I mean, we
Yeah,
saw
it's not
Nikola
it's not
Jokic
really
looks great too. So
yeah, it's not really conditioning for me. It's just this is the first game back. Like, I think all these dudes are probably in great shape. But are
yes,
they gonna run out, you know, say Drew Holiday for 38 minutes? Or is he gonna scale into it and go 25 minutes the first game back in and then go 35 and then go 38 and then play a full game, whatever the case may be. And I think for the Pelicans, they have to win. So I
exactly.
feel the safest about these Pelicans. They're gonna play until the game's over or there's a massive blowout one way or another, but they have to win this game. So their starters, Ball, Holiday, Ingram, Zion, and Derek Favors, I think across the board are very safe plays from a minutes perspective. But when you start talking about these Jazz, when you start talking about the Clippers and the Lakers, I don't know if all these people are guaranteed a full complement of minutes. So what we really need to get in touch with, we got to talk to our guy Thomas, who's a beat reporter for the Clippers. I would love to know, are they planning to run Kawhi out for a full run? No limit restriction, no thoughts on pulling him back. And that goes for everybody across the board. Like, if we know the game plans of these coaches and we know, hey, Kawhi is getting 25 minutes max, Paul George getting 25 minutes max, which really could be the case,
Mm-hmm.
then you got to go with a lot. You got to go with Lou Williams because then he's going to come in that second unit and really try to put up points. Or you got to get even sneaker, get like a Jermichael Green or a Montrezl Harrell or a Reggie Jackson or possibly even a Shamet. These second-tier players for the Clippers, that's the key to winning this week.
Mm-hmm.
Or, when these first games come back. When we get in the playoffs, it's going to be so easy. We know the rotations. We know who's going to be playing, and we have everything figured out. But these first couple games in, man, I'm telling you, the winners will be the people who can predict the minutes. If you gave me a game plan for each coach that says each of these guys can get a certain amount of minutes, then I can see the matchups and I can tell you who to play. So make sure you start doing your research now. Whoever's listening, get in touch with these beat reporters. Try to figure out how they're going to roll out all these players. Because outside of the Pelicans, I can't give you any guarantees that LeBron's going to go out there and play 40 minutes. Anthony Davis is going to go out there and play, 40 minutes because this game is not meaningful for the Lakers. Mm-hmm. Other than the fact, I don't know if it was Leonard or David Meltzer we spoke to. One good point I heard was somebody said it that Adam Silver probably went out to the Lakers and Clippers and said, hey, guys, we got to put on a show. Mm-hmm. We're giving you that primetime spot back. This is the first game back or technically the second game back. We're giving you Lakers versus Clippers, and you can't hold back. But at the same time, they're playing for a championship. They're not playing for the fans. Yeah, granted, it's the first game back. Mm-hmm. They want to show up and put a good performance out there. But does that guarantee that Kawhi has to play 38 minutes or 35 minutes? I don't think it does, man.
I don't know. You're just trying to give away my hot takes to, legendary, people in the sports business. I said that to you. I said that that's what the Lakers and the Clippers are going to do. But no, you think Leonard Armato, former agent of Shaquille O'Neal and Hakeem Olajuwon, he might have said it, or David Meltzer of Lee Steinberg fame, he might have said it. Nope, just little old me, Michael Rasile, the Win Daily Sports team, not even trying to give your own team the credit there. So one thing I do want to do, I mean, we have it up in front of us, so we're actually going to pull it up now. We're going to check out some of the pricing, and we're going to look at some of this stuff here. So I guess at first glance, does anything pop off to you right now? I mean, obviously Kawhi Leonard is already a game time decision. Anthony Davis is not, surprisingly. But does anything on this, just the first page on FanDuel, really do anything for you right now?
I'm not saying, I like to go position by position. So I like
Okay.
to, fill in either
All
a
right.
point guard or shooting guard, any
Let's hop
position that
over
I
there.
feel comfortable with. I would say one of the first guys that I think are pretty safe would be Donovan Mitchell, man, because he should get an extreme usage. For Utah to stay in this game against the Pelicans, Mitchell has to have a good game. And I don't even mind. I know this is kind of sneaky, and this is things that you can do to be different.
Mhm.
Playing a combination of, say, Donovan Mitchell with Jordan Clarkson together, a lot of people won't have that combination because
Mhm.
Clarkson's technically the backup to Mitchell. One might think that they can't go off together or they negatively correlate together, but
Mhm.
that's a way to easily be different. So, that's one thing that I'll build some teams with Mitchell and Clarkson together because most people are going to gravitate to the Clipper Laker game.
Mhm.
Most people gravitate towards the Pelicans. Grabbing Utah players is not sexy at all. It's not like the popular vote. So, Mitchell Clarkson combination at shooting guard, I think will be a combination that most people won't have. So maybe if only 10% of the field have that combination and it
Mhm.
hits, then I'm ahead on the entire field right there.
Exactly. Exactly. I love that. And then, so where do you want to hop to next? You want to go point guard, small forward? Do you want to fill in that last center spot? What are you thinking?
Yes, I think LeBron. He's got the weight of this entire league on his shoulders. So if there was a time to play him, this would be a good spot. If you play him, it's going to be tough to play him with Anthony Davis together.
Mhm.
I will build some lineups like that, but for this case, I'll take LeBron on this team. And for another small forward, again, I think for Utah to be playing in an up pace with Bogdanovich out, I don't mind
Mhm.
playing Joe Ingles. So we can lock Ingles as well. So
Mhm.
Mitchell, Clarkson, LeBron, and Ingles, it gets us to a nice starting point.
Yeah.
Other guys I like at small forward, obviously Kawhi makes a lot of sense. Brandon Ingram was playing hot at the end of the year. And we got to see, if we can get any word on a Dion Waiters type to see if
Mhm.
maybe he's going to come out and try to do some things. And I wanna really check into Utah to see who's filling all these gaps with Bogdanovich out and a shortened bench on their side as well.
Mhm. And how about someone like Markieff Morris? I mean, he's coming in at a crazy, crazy low salary. I think this is the Morris twin that is on the Lakers. So how
Yep.
do you feel like he, especially at that low of a salary? I know if we're going to be making multiple lineups, I'm sure he'd figure his way in there at some point. But how hard are you going to be looking at him towards that second game?
Yeah, he was getting, maxed out around like 20 minutes. I don't know if his
Mhm.
minutes going to be there, but at 3,600, you don't need much. He's not like a prime target of mine at this point, but
Mhm.
a guy that, like you said, at that price, he doesn't have to do much to hit value. So
Yeah.
a guy I might sprinkle in here or there, but not somebody I'm going to like actively target too much.
Okay. Awesome. All right. All right. All right. Where do we want to go next? Do we want to fill in the point guard or the power forwards next?
Power forward, I think, if you're gonna have three Utah players in the game, Zion, I'm not just overloading on Zion, but at 7,100 for how active he is on the court and nobody really to guard him
Mhm.
on Utah. They can't they can't run Gobert at him. He's too quick for him. So I think he's a mismatch versus most teams, but
Mhm.
nobody on Utah could really body him up. So Zion at 7,100, I think FanDuel priced him way too cheap for the output that he was putting out, towards the end of the season here. So
Mhm.
he was going out there and averaging, 35 points. He's put up 53 points, 40 points, and at 7,100, he's almost a lock for value if he gets his minutes here and this game plays out. And with having three Utah guys, I definitely want to run back at least one or two New Orleans guys,
Mhm.
kind of get that game stack with this specific lineup that we're making.
Okay. All right. I like that. I mean, again, my stance on Zion. I love him. I think he's going to be incredible, but I think he is incredible now. And I'm real excited to see what the newly shredded, the newly ripped Zion does and how much fun he's going to be on the court.
Yeah, then at center's really tough right now because
Well, so we need one more power forward. Who else are we
I,
throwing in
I
there?
want to I want to kind of build out a center first to
Okay.
see
All
where
right.
we land here.
Okay.
And center is not easy because the Clippers and Lakers both like play, mix and match with their centers.
Hmm.
They don't really play McGee a full complement. Then they slide in Howard, whoever's playing better. And the Clippers kind of do the same thing with Zubac and Montrezl Harrell, where they both end up playing the hot hand. So there's certain days that Zubac goes out there and just crushes, and there's certain days that he really just doesn't really do well at all. So
Hmm.
just for this build, I think Favors he's got a little bit of a revenge factor. Not that I'm factoring that in at all, but he used to play for Utah. He can easily go out there, get you a couple blocks, couple steals, and get you over 25, 30 points. Not the best GPP play, but I think he'll be lower owned
Hmm.
in this scenario. So I don't mind, completing more of a game stack with a low owned player with Derek Favors, which I don't think will burn you one way or another. And he could go out there and grab you 35 points and then crush value and be in a great spot here.
I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. So we have a couple point guard spots left and a power forward left. So we put in that one center spot. You want to hop over to point guard and see what we got over there?
Yeah, so if you go cheap with point guard and you go, um, let's see here.
I know you were all
Well,
about Reggie Jackson. I mean, he's at
yeah,
3,800.
I'm looking here. Yeah, you can go. There's ways here with this build. Um, we'll just leave it at this just to be different. This is probably not a line I'm going to lock, but I'll throw it in right now. If you go Reggie Jackson and Patrick Beverly, you can run it back with Anthony Davis. Not that I really like the combo of LeBron and Anthony Davis, but they have gone out and had good games together,
Hmm.
and they're pretty much their entire offense rolled into one.
Hmm.
So I don't mind rolling that combo. This is like I said for a million maker, you got to get different. You got to get different in a lot of spots, and not only different with one player.
Hmm.
Sometimes being different means just rolling out combinations that you wouldn't normally do if you're just building one or two lineups. Like most people won't, like I said earlier, they won't build Mitchell and Clarkson together. They won't build Reggie Jackson and Patrick Beverly together. And even LeBron and Anthony Davis is not going to be a chalk build. So this lineup that we just created, I know thousands of people are going to be listening and watching it, but if you want to tie with me, tie with me. But this is a lineup that a lot of people won't have for that reason of just overstacking certain games or certain
Hmm.
positions with certain players from the same team.
I love it, man. That is awesome. So there you have it, everybody. We are here to help when it comes to your daily fantasy sports. We're here to help for regular fantasy sports too, but unfortunately, we only have 8 games left for basketball. So we'll be here for some MLB. We'll obviously be here for some NFL as well. But we're here for basketball. We're here for betting. We're here for DFS. So when everything starts to come out, we'll be talking about the DraftKings slate a little bit more. We'll start to talk about some of these lines as we get a little bit closer and we know who is really in and who is out. I know we did a little bit last week as well, but we are excited to help you on this front. So, Jason, we appreciate it. Where can everybody find you on the internet, man?
Before they find me on the internet, at this point in time, the bet I feel the safest with across the board, because it's too early to make lineups. There's not enough information out. I wouldn't be
Hmm.
shocked if more people fall out, even from these teams, like a Jazz
Hmm.
player or maybe somebody else falls out because we're too far away.
Okay.
But I talked about it on Sirius a couple days ago. The Pelicans line was -1.5. DraftKings now has it at -2. I still think it's golden.
Hmm.
Outside of taking it -2, I think the safest play, you can take it -120. Basically, just put up $120 to win $100 that the Pelicans win the game outright. Don't even think about the spread of -2. -127. I don't see the Pelicans losing this game. This game is way too important for them. The Jazz is coming in not too happy with each other, missing starters, and the Pelicans are coming in at full strength, better than they were before. The Pelicans are going to smash them in the first game. Everybody wants Zion and the Pelicans to come out and make the playoffs. So they have everybody in the world rooting for them too. They're going to come out and win this game pretty easily. The line's going to keep going up and up and up. So get it now before it goes up any higher.
Get it now before it goes up any higher. Make some money with us here at Win Daily Sports. That's what we're here to do. So now, Jason, you can tell everybody, where can they find you on the internet?
Win Daily Sports, man. WinDailySports.com. Bunch of free content on Twitter, Win Daily Sports, and on Sirius, on live streams. Anywhere you want to find me, shoot me a tweet, shoot me an email. I'll respond right away.
He always does, except to me when I text him about something important. So thank you all so much. You can find me at Michael Rasile1 on Twitter. We are here on the Win Daily Sports Show to help you win a bunch of money and make sure you change your life doing it. So thank you all so much. We appreciate it, and we hope you make it a very profitable night.